Hello, it is Saturday night, May 2nd. I'm recording this for Monday, May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So, what we're going to be working on this week, we're returning back to the clay, whether you've got the air dry clay, the, the Sculpey clay that's kind of always wet, or you make your own clay based off the recipe that we had used before. Any of those options is available to you. I will say it's going to be a little bit harder if you're doing the homemade clay. Just do the best you can. I'm going to break out the air dry clay, same stuff that I had used the week before, and here we go with that. And what we're going to work on this time, it's going to be a coil. And so with coil sculpture, it's just what it sounds like. You're going to make everything coil around. So pull out the clay. This is my pinch pot from last week. Still has a little bit of moisture on it, which is good. But when you guys, the way you do a coil is you start out very similar to what you did when you were in elementary school. So you've got your Play-Doh, and you're sitting here, and you're rolling it around in your hands, and you're making like a noodly snake. So with a coil, it's going to start the same way. Your air dry clay is like mine. It's a little dried out. You'll get some crumbles, but that's fine. You just put a little extra water on it and you'll be good. So, if I come across the table, make sure you clean up your table because this stuff leaves a residue, as you can see on my table. It's the downside to kitchen table lessons, but that's alright. I've got Clorox wipes, so we'll be good. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to noodle this out until it's a little smaller than my pinky finger. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly, well, you can't really see that. I'm going to slowly coil that around and kind of pinch it as tightly as I can as I'm going. Pretty easy so far. Now, you'll notice mine's breaking apart because, again, I'm using, clay that's a couple of years old. But I start there, and then I'm going to add to it. So break off a little more, squeeze that together, start noodling it some more. And I'm going to keep going with that. I'm going to build the entire base around. Once I have the base, I'll unpause it. Okay, so I'm back. Now the size that I've got on this base, it's about the size of a cup. So as you guys can see, a little overhang on that side, spin it around, a little overhang there. So got a decent size. That's about how big I'd like to see you guys make your base. Then what I want to do is get a little bit of water on my finger, and I'm going to start to smooth this out. Just around the outside, a little bit of moisture on my finger, get that going. Smooth that out, clean it up, get those dry areas off. Okay, and I'm going to put a layer on top. The layer on top is going to help the next layer stick. So then I'll come back in here, pinch off a little more clay, make some more coils. And this is where I'm going to start building up the walls. I want to press all of the air out of this, because remember, I'm using old clay. You may not have to press it as much as I do before you noodle it. And I'm sure there's a more professional term than noodle. I'm not a ceramicist, I'm an illustrator, so I'm kind of playing it by ear a little bit based off of the few ceramics classes I took. But I'm spreading out my fingers as far as I can, and that's making it a little bit better of a noodle there. Then I'm going to bring that around. If we were working with clay we were going to fire, we would slip and score. The slip is when you put a kind of a wet mixture of clay, and then scoring is when I would go through with a knife or a blade of some sort and I would scratch the surface on that. But since this is air dry clay and I'm just making a little cup to put pencils in, then I'm not really going to even worry about that. So slide that back up there, take the next piece, get as much of the air out of it as I can, and then start with the next one. And so I just keep doing this until I have it tall enough. Like I said, I want to build it fairly tall. I'm going to use it to put pencils in. And you can see it's making a mess all over my table, so I will have to clean that up. But a little bit of water around here to help it stick better. Clean that up. I had a blowout there, didn't get the air out. So I'm going to mash that little bit together, set that down, and kind of clean that up a bit. Go on to the next spot. And I need more water because this is getting kind of crumbly on me. There we go, that's better. I think I have all the air out this time. And no, I didn't. Squeeze that down a little bit and just repeat. So my hands are together now. It's getting further out, so my fingers are spreading more. Decent shape. Wet the surface and attach. Mash those layers together and just kind of pull it up so you can see from the sides. Let's fix the lighting here a bit. Try to move this over. Sorry, it's taking a bit. Whoa! Doing this without a mouse, it's a little tricky. Let's do a little shadow there. There, you can kind of see how that's going. There's the bottom of it. Gonna block that light. You can see how that's working. And then from the inside, you can see how that's working. Now I'm going to keep building on this a little bit. I'm going to pause the video and I will come back in a minute. As soon as I get a couple more strands up. Okay, so I'm back. I've gotten a lot more on the pot done. You can see it's as tall as my fingers are. So as I pick that up, you can kind of look down inside of it. You turn it sideways, you can see how big it is this way. Still have the same bottom, it's stuck to it. But then now, I've got it as tall as I want to make it. I could go taller if I want to, but for the sake of this, I'm not going to. I might make it a little taller after I go off camera. But then what I want to do is I want to take some water along these sides, and I'm just putting my fingers on the inside, and I'm getting my fingers wet, and just rubbing it on the outside to smooth that out. If your fingers aren't wet, this doesn't work. But you can kind of see how the ridges on the side start to go away and flatten out. It also hides any blemishes that I've got and makes it a sturdier piece. Now you may like the coil, and if you like the way it looks with the coils on it, fine, keep it, don't do this step. I like to kind of hide the coils a little bit, that's why I'm doing it. It doesn't work as well with the air dry clay as it does with traditional clay, but it will work, just not as easily. You have to really rub it a lot harder. So that's up to you on how you do that. But basically I'm just smoothing this out and making each of these coils all one piece from top to bottom. It just takes even pressure, and so when I'm done, this will be a lot sturdier of a piece. And then I want to do the same thing across the top to join where that last little bit of coil meets so I don't have a lip. Get it about the shape that I want, and then I'm going to let it set. I'll let it set for about a week. It says on the package that it's ready in 2 to 3 days. I'm going to let it set for a week, and then after a week I'll be able to come back and paint it. But that's it. That's how you guys do this process. Again, this whole thing, I've had this recording going for about, it's showing 10 minutes on the timer right now, but really I've been at it for about a half an hour. If you build it up taller, probably about an hour, maybe, but realistically you're probably going to be in the 30 to 50 minute range, and that's fine. Try to build it at least as tall as your hand is, like from here to here, okay? So most people that's going to be 4 to 5 inches, and then try to have it at least big enough around that you could set a plastic cup inside of it like that. Okay, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up, send me an email. If you do not have the supplies, then wait until you can get them, or send me, do an hour drawing and send that to me in either an email or upload it into the classroom, and we'll be good. But that's all I've got for the week. Thank you.